U, a symbol for the purity of the original spirit between the upper two bats, have the same meaning as the 6 yongs. These works are recorded to have been completed in 6 days, because 6 is a perfect number. For the number 6 is the first which is made up of its own parts. The City of God by St. Augustine, 4th c. Christian saint. They represent tools to reach a prolonged state of the presence of the original spirit, which is symbolized by the concave square in the upper circle. Earlier it was said, in the middle of the inch 2 dwells the splendor. In the purple hall of the city of jade dwells the God of utmost emptiness and life. The character for jade symbolizes arrival in the city, a prolonged state of the presence of the original spirit. The space of the character U, in the gourd charm is the space where heaven and earth touch. It is called the mysterious path or the yellow middle. When I think of a wise man, his merits appear to be like jade. The Book of Verse, Taoist text. The shape of this gourd charm containing a small and big circle, is the same as the background of the statue of Mahavairakana Buddha by Unkei. The center of the upper circle is the field of an inch 2 on the face, the third eye. The center of the lower circle is the solar plexus, the heart. Here, Mahavairakana is holding the mudra, hand gesture, of the 6 elements, another symbol with the same meaning as the 6 yongs. The hexagram return has 1 yang and signifies the beginning step of turning around the light. The development from 1 yang to 6 yongs represents reaching the essence or true awareness, the original spirit or the higher self. This is the wonderful charm that is spoken about. The lower circle of the gourd charm symbolizes earth and the upper circle heaven. The lower circle of the charm has a large fu, character in the middle meaning good fortune, referring to the presence of the original spirit, the only real good fortune. Surrounding the character fu, are 5 flying bats. A bat, fu, is a visual pun for good fortune or happiness, fu, because both characters are pronounced the same and the right part of the characters is the same. C. Gourd charms the 5 bats, together with the character for jade, U, a symbol for the purity of the original spirit between the upper 2 bats, have the same meaning as the 6 yongs. These works are recorded to have been completed in 6 days, because 6 is a perfect number. For the number 6 is the first which is made up of its own parts. The City of God by St. Augustine, 4th c. Christian saint. They represent tools to reach a prolonged state of the presence of the original spirit, which is symbolized by the concave square in the upper circle. Earlier it was said, in the middle of the inch 2 dwells the splendor. In the purple hall of the city of jade dwells the God of utmost emptiness and life. The character for jade symbolizes arrival in the city, a prolonged state of the presence of the original spirit. The space of the character U, in the gourd charm is the space where heaven and earth touch. It is called the mysterious path or the yellow middle. When I think of a wise man, his merits appear to be like jade. The Book of Verse, Taoist text. The shape of this gourd charm containing a small and big circle, is the same as the background of the statue of Mahavairakana Buddha by Unkei. The center of the upper circle is the field of an inch 2 on the face, the third eye. The center of the lower circle is the solar plexus, the heart. Here, Mahavairakana is holding the mudra, hand gesture, of the 6 elements, another symbol with the same meaning as the 6 yongs. The heart has a wonderful charm. The hidden and wonderful spell gives eternal life. Journey to the West. True spells, revealing secrets and all-powerful, are the only sure way of protecting one's life. When you are successful you can become a Buddha or an immortal. Journey to the West. But this celestial mechanism of practicing reversal has a secret which is communicated verbally and instructs the heart. One must seek the guidance of the true teacher, for it cannot be known through arbitrary guesswork. Inner Teachings of Taoism, by Liu Yiming, 18th c. Taoist Master. The 3 worlds is a Buddhist concept and refers to the world of desire, the world of form and the world of formlessness. The 3 worlds are only mind. The Sabantu, 4th c. Indian Buddhist monk. This concept originates from Hinduism. O Lord, your presence fills the heavens and the earth and reaches in every direction. I see the 3 worlds trembling before this vision of your wonderful and terrible form. The Bhagavad Gita, Hindu text. All esoteric traditions distinguish these three worlds in man. They are also referred to as underworld, earth, and heaven. The underworld represents the state where the original spirit is veiled, while earth represents the effort to unveil the original spirit, which is also called true intent in Taoism. The yellow wife is the earth mother and represents true intent and true faith in our being. Liu Yiming, 18c. Taoist Master. Heaven refers to the state of the presence of the original spirit created through the effort of turning around the light. The short ladder of spiritual progress, which is at the same time both small and great, has 5 rungs leading to perfection. Thus by this short ladder he who is truly obedient swiftly ascends to heaven. Philokalia, Gregory of Sinai. When Taoism speaks of yin and yang as heaven and earth, earth represents the state where the original spirit is veiled, that is, the experience of everyday life, and heaven to the world transcending higher consciousness of the original spirit created through the effort of turning around the light. Reincarnating outside of yin and yang and being beyond the 3 worlds refers to a spontaneous arising of the world transcending higher consciousness of the original spirit, in contrast to the arising of the original spirit through the effort of turning around the light. Although it arises spontaneously at that moment, it is still the result of previously made effort. There is another form of divine contemplation when God Himself is pleased to visit the soul that seeks Him. Bernard of Clairvaux, 12th c. French Abbot Q. I cannot by effort reach a state that sometimes comes accidentally. Uspensky, 20th c. Fourth way spiritual teacher, if you had not made efforts it would not have come accidentally, so it is not really accidental. The more efforts you make, the more you will have these accidental moments of self-remembering, of understanding, of being emotional. It is all the result of effort. Man has no unity and has different personalities, one for his spouse, one for his children, one for his friends, one for his boss, one for when he feels good, one for when he feels depressed, etc., are like a collection of faces. I have never been aware before how many faces there are. There are quantities of human beings, but there are many more faces, for each person has several. Rainer Maria Rilke, Notebooks of Malta Lauwertsbricke. His real or original face is the state of the original spirit, which is symbolized by a square. In the inch-2 field of the square-foot house, life can be regulated. The square-foot house is the face. The Book of the Yellow Castle, Taoist text, when the believer has mastered his lower self, so that it serves as a riding mount beneath him, the deeds of his heart will shine forth upon his face. Al-Jilani, 12th c. Sufi. In Chinese medicine, different emotions are closely associated with different organs in the human body. Anger is associated with the liver, joy with the heart. Worry can deplete the energy of the spleen, while sadness or grief affects the lungs, and the emotion of fear is related to the kidneys. For this reason, the ancient form of the Chinese character for heart included all organs. By heart I do not mean the piece of flesh situated in the left of our bodies, but that which uses all the other faculties as its instruments and servants. Al-Ghazali, 11th c. Persian mystic. The character for true intent is made up of heart at the bottom, and sound or tone on top. It refers to an impulse in the heart to turn around the light. When one is in the midst of one's worldly affairs and one's human mind or discriminating spirit is active, one suddenly becomes aware that one is asleep, and then one starts self-awareness. One returns to the mind of Tao in order to bring back the original spirit. The true intent is also called the yellow woman. The yellow woman, wife, is the earth mother in the center, called yellow woman because it can harmonize yin and yang and can combine the 4 forms. The alchemical treatises use this to symbolize the true faith within the true intent in people, which can harmonize essence and sense, and nurture vitality and energy. True intent and true faith are the yellow woman in our being. Li Yiming, 18c. Taoist master. The symbol of the Earth Mother or Mother Goddess can be found in all esoteric traditions. She is the one who shows this world, for what it is. She is the Genetrix, the mother of the Buddhas. Prajnaparamita Sutra, Buddhist text. O beautiful being, you renew yourself in your season in the form of the disk within your mother Hathor. Egyptian texts, going forth by day, Hymn of praise to Ra. If the mind moves means it gives rise to thoughts, fantasies and emotions. Only when the mind is still can the light appear. If you can just keep the mind still so that errant thought does not arise, the reality of nirvana will naturally appear. Hongren. When the mind is silent, then it can enter into a world which is far beyond the mind. Upanishads, Hindu text. You should each practice diligently. If you do practice for a single breath, then you are a realized immortal for a breath. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 13. The ancient Chinese government reflected the inner government of a true man. The emperor symbolizes the wise ruler or the Lord's deputy. The human body is like a country, and the mind is like a ruler. Liu Yiming, 18c. Taoist Master, Commentary on the I Ching. The human being is a city, with a special place at its center for the Lord's deputy, where he resides with his governing officials. Ibn Arabi, 13th c. Andalusian Sufi mystic. If the ruler is proud and self-indulgent, and abandons the way, or the ministers are corrupt and insincere, and act without following the track, then the waxing of moon results in blame and misfortune. Wei Boyong, Cantong Chi, Triplex Unity 2nd c. Taoist text. The ruler stands for the quiet attention of the mind, the minister stands for the breath. Yuan, 13th c. Taoist Master, Commentary on Canton Chi. The heart is the secluded shrine of God. Alden Razi, 13th c. Persian Sufi. The ministers at the right and left symbolize the beginning and end of a mantra to guard one's heart and not allow any thoughts to enter. The minister at the left as a temple protector, with an open mouth. The minister at the right as a temple protector, with a closed mouth. The left guardian has his mouth opened and is saying A, the first syllable of the Japanese syllabary and the Sanskrit alphabet. The guardian on the right has his mouth closed, saying Om, a syllable from the Sanskrit alphabet, or N, the last syllable of the Japanese hiragana alphabet. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. The Bible, Revelation 22:13. Usually one sees these temple protectors, the two kings of light in Buddhist temple gates. Vitality water, the true, one prenatal energy is also called metal in water, true lead or the mind of Tao. The vitality in the body is yang within yin. This is likened to the center line of heaven entering earth to make water. Yin outside, yang inside, there is the metal of heaven in water, so it is called metal in water. This stands for sense and vitality. Li Dao Chun, the Book of Balance and Harmony. The true lead is the primordial root of consciousness, it is also called the root of heaven, or the true unified vitality, or the true unified energy, or lead from the homeland of water, or metal within water, or white within black, or the yang soul within the yin soul, or the black tiger, or the metal man, or the method of immortality of that house. The ancients represented it symbolically in many ways, but when we get back to the important point, they are all just depicting the mind of Tao. Liu Yiming, Commentary on Understanding Reality. True lead is also called the root of heaven or white within black. The heart is the vital center. It occupies the place of ruler. It is the sacred vessel. Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon, Chapter 8. Guan Yin's face is a symbol for the heart. The heart is also represented as the yellow woman and the true intent, which controls vitality. True intent is the director of the myriad affairs, it controls vitality and spirit, sustains essence and life, occupies and guards the center of the being. Liu Yiming, The Inner Teachings of Taoism. Spirit fire refers to the illumination of the original spirit. Spirit is yin within yang, represented as fire and as the sun. Liu Yiming, The Inner Teachings of Taoism. Illumination is the energy of open awareness in the palace of fire, the heart, it is the spirit of humans, the master of mind. When the mind is open it is aware, the original spirit is in charge of affairs, and illumination is managed properly. One can thereby balance yang. When the mind is unruly, it wanders, the discriminatory consciousness handles affairs, and illumination is not properly directed. This is sufficient to damage yang. Therefore fire is beneficial to correctness and development. Lu Yiming, the Taoist I Ching, hexagram number 30 fire. Heart-shaped vase with a flame of spirit fire, 12th c. AD, mosaic in Basilica of Saint Clemente, Rome. The heart is the vital center. It occupies the place of ruler. It is the sacred vessel. Yellow Emperor's Inner Canon, Chapter 8. The vase is a symbol for the heart. The heart is also represented as the yellow woman and the true intent, which controls the spirit. True intent is the director of the myriad affairs, it controls vitality and spirit, sustains essence and life, occupies and guards the center of the being. Lu Yiming, the Inner Teachings of Taoism. Intent. Earth is the heavenly heart of the middle, refers to the true intent of the heart, also called the yellow wife. The true earth is not material earth, it is the true intent of the human body, which has no location. True intent is the director of the myriad affairs, it controls vitality and spirit, sustains essence and life, occupies and guards the center of the being. Lu Yiming, the Inner Teachings of Taoism. The yellow woman, wife, is the earth mother in the center, called yellow woman because it can harmonize yin and yang and can combine the four forms. The alchemical treatises use this to symbolize the true faith within the true intent in people, which can harmonize essence and sense, and nurture vitality and energy. True intent and true faith are the yellow woman in our being. Lu Yiming, the Inner Teachings of Taoism. The character for intent is made up of heart at the bottom, and sound or tone on top. The true intent refers to an impulse in the heavenly heart to turn around the light. When one is in the midst of one's worldly affairs and one's human mind or conscious spirit is active, one suddenly becomes aware that one is asleep, and then one starts self-awareness. This is the return of the mind of Tao. This is also called the yellow woman. If learners can actually control their stubborn mind and return it to rectitude, transform their errant intent and restore it to sincerity, then half of the Tao of essence and life can be comprehended. Lu Yiming, awakening the Tao. The symbol of the Earth Mother or Mother Goddess can be found in all esoteric traditions. The impulse of their heart is an interpretation of the character in this context. This character is made up of the characters for heart below, and sound above. It has a special meaning in Taoism and is translated as true intent. It refers to a sound, a tone or an impulse in the heart from which a thought comes into being. It is called true intent if this impulse is related to the original spirit and causes the original spirit to awaken. Then one knows one is not this 7-foot-tall physical body, it is only one's temporary dwelling. However, in normal people this impulse is related to things of the world and creates the sense that I am this body. This is called errant intent. The character, Po, has been translated as anima or lower soul in other translations of The Secret of the Golden Flower. Here lower self will be used. The name itself is less important than understanding what is meant by it. To do this one must see it in oneself and then one must learn to control it. The lower self is a tyrannical pharaoh. Al-Ghazali, 11th c. Persian Sufi mystic. The lower heart is like a strong vassal or fierce general who bullies the feeble emperor and takes the law in his own hands from a faraway position. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 2. The abode of the lower self is in the stomach and in the area of the waist. Al-Tirmidhi. The lower self gropes in darkness while the self lives in light. Katha Upanishad, Hindu texts. From the lower self at every moment issues an act of deceit. Rumi, 13th c. Sufi mystic and poet. The inner meaning of transformation goes on endlessly from generation to generation is the endless churning of the mind from one thought or fantasy to the other. Daily we draw innumerable breaths and have an equal number of fantasies. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 13. A lifetime is not what's between the moments of birth and death. A lifetime is one moment between two little breaths. Zen saying, one cycle of respiration takes about 3 seconds. This is a definite and complete period of time for a man. If he observes closely, he will find that every breath brings a new thought to his mind, or a repetition of an old thought. Rodney Collin, 20th c. Fourth way spiritual teacher. When a thought appears and is then followed by another thought, it is represented as birth and death, This is a generation. Once you have entered darkness, essence is disturbed and life is destabilized. In a single day you are born 1,000 times and die 10,000 times. Liu Yiming, 18c. Taoist Master. This is the inner meaning of samsara. It doesn't refer to a man dying and being reborn endlessly, but to his thoughts dying and being reborn endlessly. Samsara is no more than one's own thoughts. Upanishads, Hindu text. When the original spirit is awake, the generations of thoughts do continue, but now one's identity is no longer in them. One is separate from them and they no longer control one. This is the light, of the golden flower, shining upon them. When a man is in control of his passions, then his light goes forth and is continued through many generations. Kabbalah. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. I will make thee a joy of many generations. The Bible, Isaiah 61. All esoteric tradians say that the life of a man is a dream. Dreaming goes on night and day, without a break, as anyone who has acquired the power of arresting the more active thinking process of the mind for a few moments, can readily establish. Rodney Collin, 20th c. Fourth Way Teacher. Life is a dream, we sleeping wake and waking sleep. Montaigne, 16th c. French writer. When a man ascends in the degrees of knowledge, he will come to know that he is a dreamer in the state of ordinary wakefulness and that the situation in which he dwells is a dream. Ibn Arabi, 13th c. Andalusian Sufi mystic and philosopher. Only after a great awakening can we understand that all of this is a great dream. Meanwhile, fools everywhere think they are wide awake. Chuang-Tzu, 4th c. BCE Taoist philosopher. This place is a dream. Only a sleeper considers it real. Rumi, 13th c. Sufi mystic and poet. The phenomena of life are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, or shadows, like drops of dew, or flashes of lightning, and thus they ought to be contemplated. The Prajnaparamita Diamond Sutra, Buddhist text. Life is a dream, and all that happens to us in life is like unto a dream. Oh! May we awaken before death overtakes us. Petrarch, 14th c. Italian poet. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. English language nursery rhyme. Qian refers to the trigram Qian and also to the first hexagram of the I Ching and is translated as creative or heaven. The trigram Qian contains 3 lines of pure yang and the hexagram Qian contains 6 lines of pure yang. Ancient immortals used the term golden pill, elixir, as a metaphor of the essence of true consciousness, which is fundamentally complete and illumined. Growing from one yang to gradually reach the pure wholeness of 6 yangs, going from vague to clear, the gold elixir develops naturally. Liu Yiming, 18c. Taoist Master. Growing from one yang, hexagram number 24. Return, the first step of turning the light around, to gradually reach the pure wholeness of 6 yangs, hexagram number 1. Heaven. The holy man who understands the mysteries of creation inherent in end and beginning, in death and life, becomes superior to the limitations of the transitory. For him, the meaning of time is that in it, the stages of growth can unfold in a clear sequence. He is mindful at every moment and uses the 6 stages of growth as if they were 6 dragons, the image attributed to the individual lines, on which he mounts to heaven. Commentary on hexagram number 1, the creative, the I Ching p. 371, Wilhelm/Baines edition. Both the Egyptian and Taoist tradition use the dung beetle rolling a ball of dung, as a symbol for the labor needed to awaken the original spirit. Dung beetles roll balls of dung from which their offspring are born after a time. Balls of dung are originally dead things, with nothing in them, but by the communion of female and male energies joining into one energy that does not disperse, the spirit congeals and the energy coagulates, and is thus able to produce substance and form where there was no substance or form. What I realize as I observe this is the Tao of producing being from within non-being. People are born with the 2 energies of heaven and earth, yin and yang, within their bodies. If people can bring the yang to the yin and cause the yin to follow the yang, yin and yang adhere to each other. In the midst of ecstatic trance there is some of living potential coming into being from non-being, whereby the spiritual embryo can be formed and the spiritual body can be produced. When this practice reaches its consummation, you break through space and have a body outside of the body. Walking on the sun and the moon without form, penetrating metal and stone without hindrance, you transcend creation. Awakening the Tao, by Liu Yiming, 18th c. Taoist Master. By God's mercy there has come to be in me a form which is not fashioned out of matter, and I have passed forth out of myself, and entered into an immortal body. Hermes Trismegistus, purported author of the Hermetic Corpus Guanyin with the Higher Self, Amida Buddha, seated on the head. The spiritual embryo is formless and immaterial, thought it is called embryo, in reality there is no embryo to be seen. The term embryo just describes true awareness becoming solidified, stabilized, not scattering. Liu Yiming, 18th c. Taoist Master. What may be called the astral body is obtained by means of fusion, that is, by means of terribly hard inner work and struggle. Man is not born with it. And only very few men acquire an astral body. Gurdjieff, 20th c. Fourth way spiritual teacher. Life and death doesn't refer to the life and death of the physical body, but to the life and death of the original spirit and is also called being awake and being asleep. Life refers to the original spirit being awake, while death refers to the original spirit being asleep. O thou that sleepest, what is sleep? Sleep resembles death. Ah, why then dost thou not work in such wise that after death thou mayest retain a resemblance to perfect life, rather than during life make thyself like the hapless dead by sleeping? Leonardo da Vinci. Students who do not understand the principles of life and death will think that having the breath of inspiration and expiration means living, and being deprived of it means dying. Alas! Those who think that life and death, being and non-being consist in this entirely miss the point. When I say live, I mean living with our true body, and when I say die, I mean dying with your illusory body. Liu Yiming Cultivating the Tao. The Grim Reaper, also called death, symbolizes the lower self. The hands and heads he has cut off, are not from the physical body but from the internal husband and wife, yin and yang. The lower self is getting rid of the effort to retrieve the original spirit. There are husband and wife in everybody's body. Li Dao Chun, The Book of Balance and Harmony. Sleep of the mind is akin to real death. Philokalia, Greek Orthodox Christian text, Monk Callistus. Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead. The Bible, Ephesians 5:14. Death in the true sense of the word is a separation from God. The Philokalia, after death means that the original spirit is no longer present and when asleep. When the original spirit is no longer present, the lower self can rule again. Feeding on blood and also flesh means feeding on anything that strengthens the lower self. Do I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? The Bible, Psalms 50:13. Both the bull and the goat are symbols for the lower self. See the lower self, Animal Nature for more information about the bull as a symbol for the lower self. When mundanity, yin, is exhausted and the celestial, yang, is pure, one is an immortal. Liu Yiming. The Inner Teachings of Taoism, the Gate of Birth of the Self. These are examples of genuine arising of yang. It may happen that while you are reading books or reciting poetry, personal desires suddenly vanish and a unified awareness is alone present. This is one aspect of the arising of yang. Also, sometimes when friends gather and talk, they reach a communion of the inner mind, and suddenly yang energy soars up and the true potential bursts forth. Is also one way in which yang arises. Furthermore, even when playing music, playing games, writing, drawing, fishing, cutting wood, plowing fields, reading books, if you can harmonize spontaneously based on the natural essence, without seeking or desiring anything, there will be a serenity and contentment, clearing the mind so that you forget about feelings. This is in each case a form of arising of yang. What is essential is to become immediately aware of the movement of yang energy and to gather it in as soon as you become aware of it, so that the spirit is not attracted by externals. Huang Yuan Qi, Annals of the Hall of Blissful Development, as quoted in the Taoist I Ching. The quality of strength, strong virtue, in people is original innate awareness, the sane primal energy. This is called true yang, or the truly unified vitality, or the truly unified energy. Lu Yi Ming, the Taoist I Ching, hexagram number 1, Heaven. The idea of turning around the light is not exclusive to the secret of the golden flower, it is part of all esoteric traditions. The light principle returns, thus the hexagram counsels turning away from the confusion of external things, turning back to one's inner light. There, in the depths of the soul, one sees the divine, the one. I Ching, Wilhelm/Baines, hexagram number 24 return. You should stop the intellectual activity of pursuing words and learn the stepping back of turning the light around and shining back. Body and mind will naturally drop off and the original face will appear. Dogen, 12th C. Japanese Zen Master, Shobo Jinzo. Turning the light around to illumine inwardly is not a matter of fixating on a special locus and deliberately focusing attention there. It is nothing more than using emptiness and stillness to return the spirit to the inside. If your spirit is wholly directed to attention on externals, then you are not aware of your own self. Just take the externally focused spirit and collect it back in, letting go of all mechanical cleverness, single-mindedly storing it inside, eliminating mixed-up thoughts. Practical Taoism. Turning around the light is also called self-awareness, spiritual awareness or awareness of God. Purify the mind. In a pure mind there is constant awareness of the self. Upanishads, Hindu text. Spiritual awareness is not achieved by thought. Ibn Arabi, Sufi master. Cloak and enfold awareness of God in awareness of yourself, anonymous English monk, Christian monk. It is important to not limit turning around the light to periods of sitting meditation, it must occur in any and all circumstances, as often as one can muster. When one turns around the light in one's daily circumstances, one must stay aware of what one is doing. As a result, one can say that one's attention is divided. If you are conscious at the same time that you observe, the line of your attention will resemble two arrows, one showing attention directed on the thing you observe and another on yourself. Uspensky, 20th C. Fourth Way Teacher. The number 100 symbolizes the completion of reaching a prolonged state of presence of the original spirit, the God within. He is the shepherd who left behind the 99 sheep which had not strayed and went in search of that one which was lost. He rejoiced when he had found it. For 99 is a number of the left hand, which holds it. The moment he finds the one, however, the whole number is transferred to the right hand. Thus it is with him who lacks the one, that is, the entire right hand which attracts that in which it is deficient, seizes it from the left side and transfers it to the right. In this way, then, the number becomes 100. This number signifies the Father. Gnostic Gospel of Truth. Rise high above the earth, that thou mayest see thy Father, that thou mayest see Ra. Egyptian Pyramid Texts. The Egyptian sun god Ra, here called thy Father, became God the Father in the Christian tradition, and both symbolize the presence of the original spirit. 100 days setting up the foundation is not 100 days, 1 day setting up the foundation is not 1 day. 1 breath setting up the foundation does not refer to respiration. Breath is one's own mind is the breath's original spirit, original energy, and original vitality, rising and descending, parting and joining, all arise from mind, being and non-being, emptiness and fullness, are all in the thoughts. 1 breath is held for a lifetime, not only 100 days, so 100 days is also a single breath. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 9. Fire is illumination and refers to awareness. When awareness is applied to externals, its fire does not return to the root, arbitrary feelings stir, in true sense is obscured. When awareness is applied within, its light has returned to the root, the artificial changes into the real, the temperament dissolves and the true nature appears. Lu Yi Ming, the Taoist I Ching, mixed hexagrams number 38 disparity and number 37 members of a family. The firing process is a method to sustain self-awareness, to prolong turning around the light. The firing process spoken of in the alchemical classics and writings of the Taoist masters, is a metaphor for the order of practical spiritual work. Li Yiming, 18c. Taoist master: fire needs fuel in order to burn. The firing process symbolizes the spiritual work of burning away the yin of the lower self and transforming it into yang, the presence of the original spirit, the higher self. When the mundane, yin, is stripped away and the celestial, yang, is pure, then the firing is sufficient. The Book of Balance and Harmony, by Li Dao Chun, 13th c. Taoist master. The formation of the golden pill elixir entirely depends on the practice of the fire times. Fire means the force of the practice, times means the sequence of the practice. Li Yiming, 18th c. Taoist master, commentary on understanding reality. Growing from one yang to gradually reach the pure wholeness of 6 yangs, going from vague to clear, the gold elixir develops naturally. Li Yiming, 18th c. Taoist master. The 6 stages of purification by fire are in sequence and should never be mixed up, only then can it produce the golden elixir. Zhao Pai Chen, 20th c. Taoist master. The way to burn away yin is to only have pure thoughts, which remind one to focus on the present moment, and not listen to any thoughts from the discriminating spirit or lower self. We now have to combat the enemy of thoughts, in order for the good thoughts to destroy the bad ones. The real war, the important battle, is this war. Rumi, 13th c. Sufi mystic and poet. Purify your consciousness, make clean your inward thoughts by exclusive concentration on the main purpose. Zealous to achieve your aim. Al-Junaid, 9th c. Persian Sufi mystic. All that we are is the result of our thoughts. Buddha. Samsara, Sanskrit, refers to the repeating cycle of birth, life, death and rebirth, reincarnation, within Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Bon, and Jainism. The wheel of life shows the 6 realms of samsara. According to this concept, after people die, they are reborn in one of 6 realms: hell beings, hungry ghosts, animals, human beings, asura or half gods and gods. Samsara is no more than one's own thoughts. Upanishads, Hindu text. Once you have entered darkness, essence is disturbed and life is destabilized. In a single day you are born 1,000 times and die 10,000 times. Li Yiming, 18th c. Taoist master. These 6 realms are symbols for different thoughts or emotions or impulses in a man. Hell beings are one's negative emotions, hungry ghost refers to one's desires, animals refers to impulses we have in common with animals, humans beings refers to thoughts and emotions of a higher level, asuras or half-gods refers to thoughts related to spiritual work on oneself but not evoking the effort to unveil the original spirit, and gods refers to thoughts that remind the original spirit to be present. You are demon and wild beast and angel and man. Whichever you cultivate, that you will be. Kashani, 13th c. Persian poet and philosopher. As soon as one instant of thought is cut off, you will be reborn in another realm. Huineng, 6th patriarch of Zen Buddhism, 8th c. Through the practice of turning the light around, one stops this endless cycle of thoughts going around in one's head, or rather, one takes one identity out of these thoughts and emotions and awakens or becomes the original spirit. A foolish worldly passing thought makes one an ordinary man, while an enlightened second thought makes one a Buddha. Huineng, the Chinese text says, 9 paths. The Secret of the Golden Flower is the only text that uses these characters. Other scriptures and also the Secret of the Golden Flower in section 7 of this chapter, speak about the 9 underworlds. The Chinese words are translated as the world of darkness or the underworld. This refers to the state in which the light of the golden flower is absent and we live our life only from the conscious spirit or lower self, in darkness. It is the world of the dead, which refers not to the physically dead but to the spiritually dead, the state in which the original spirit is veiled or asleep. O thou that sleepest, what is sleep? Sleep resembles death. Ah, why then dost thou not work in such wise that after death thou mayest retain a resemblance to perfect life, Rather than during life, make thyself like the hapless dead by sleeping. Leonardo da Vinci. The number 9 symbolizes the passions. This does not mean there are 9 passions. The numbers 18, 36, 72, 81, 108, and 99s are also used to signify the passions. The man in whom the 36 streams of craving flow strongly towards pleasurable objects, the waves of passions carry him off. He is of confused vision and evil thoughts. Buddha. The Pure Land is not far from here, for the distance in mileage is 108,000, which really represents the 10 evils and 8 errors within us. Huineng, 6th Patriarch of Zen Buddhism, 7th c. In the Buddha's school 9 nines are needed before one can come to the truth. Journey to the West, one of the 4 great Chinese classical novels. Pure thoughts are thoughts that remind one to turn around the light, when one is immersed in one's daily activities, or immersed in thoughts about the past or future. We now have to combat the enemy of thoughts, in order for the good thoughts to destroy the bad ones. The real war, the important battle, is this war. Rumi? Through emotions, one falls means that emotions keep one tied to the lower self and the higher self has no space to manifest. The lower heart moves like a strong, powerful commander who despises the heavenly rule. The secret of the golden flower ch.2, wherever the eyes go, the heart also goes. Anonymous Taoist Master, Foundations of Internal Alchemy by Wing Mi. When both eyes are looking at things of the world, one's attention is directed outward. When I observe something, my attention is directed towards what I observe, a line with one arrowhead. I dash 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 greater than the object. When at the same time, I try to remember myself, my attention is directed both towards the object observed and towards myself. A second arrowhead appears on the line, I less than dash 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 greater than the object. Uspensky, 20th c. Fourth way teacher. When one's attention is divided between oneself and the object observed, the light is turned around. I look through my eyes, not with them. William Blake, 18th c. English poet and painter. When the light is turned around and the original spirit awakens to the present, it looks through the eyes and spiritual and consciousness energy no longer runs away or leaks mechanically through the eyes. Ask of those who have attained God, all speak the same word. All the saints are of one mind, it is only those in the midst of the way who follow diverse paths. All the enlightened have left one message, it is only those in the midst of their journey who hold diverse opinions. Dadu, 16th c. Indian saint. The hierarchy is one, and the esoteric sides of all religions were launched by it, as was the great experiment started through Uspensky and Gurdjieff for our own time. Rodney Collin, 20th c. Fourth way teacher. All religions, all this singing, one song. The differences are just illusion and vanity. Sunlight looks a little different on this wall than it does on that wall, and a lot different on this other one, but it is still one light. Rumi, 13th c. Sufi mystic and poet. Sitting quietly doesn't necessarily mean physically sitting but spiritually sitting. Sitting does not mean physically sitting still with the eyes closed. This latter is artificial sitting. True sitting requires that the mind be unstirring as a mountain all the time, whatever you are doing, in all action and repose. Wang Che, 12th c. Taoist master. People meditating on the fundamental, carry out their ordinary tasks and activities in the midst of meditation, and carry out meditation in the midst of ordinary tasks and activities. There is no disparity between meditation and activity. It is for those as yet incapable of this, those weak in focusing their intent on the way, that special meditation periods were set up. Muso, 14th c. Japanese monk, poet and garden designer. Kalpa is a Sanskrit word meaning an eon, or a very long period of time in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. The definition of a kalpa equaling 4.32 billion years is found in the Puranas, a Hindu text. Getting rid of 10,000 kalpa simply means transcending time. When the original spirit is present, one's identity is transformed from the lower self to the higher self. The higher self is immortal and out of time. If you do practice for a single breath, then you are a realized immortal for a breath. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 13.